Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today I'm going to be talking about why I think that the ranked battles inside World of Tanks are one of the worst competitive systems I've ever experienced inside a multiplayer video game. So with that opening statement, let me add a little bit of context. I'm a competitive person. I've been a fan of World of Tanks since the closed beta in 2010. When Wargaming said that they were going to introduce the Ranked Battles game mode, I was thoroughly excited about it, finally a chance to test myself as a solo player against other players in battle with a kind of form of what I was hoping was going to be skill-based matchmaking. I participated in their beta seasons. In the first one I finished silver, in the second beta season I finished gold, and in every season since then I have been a gold ranked player. In the most recent episode of the season I just finished with 138% chevron gain, and when I landed I was in the top 100 players on the European server. Since then, a lot of players managed to overtake me, and I think my final position was in the top 200 or 300. Now, the reason for this video is that in the last episode of the current season of Ranked, I only managed to finish silver, and I was playing just random vehicles. I was playing a lot of EBR, I was playing a lot of Object 140, some 430U, and I discovered that it wasn't just enough to play, and in my opinion, play well. You had to also play the system. And so in today's video, I'm going to be letting you know exactly what I have realized about the system and why Ranked is not really so much of a measure of players' skill as to a variety of other factors. So firstly, I want to talk about one of the fundamental problems that I have with Ranked, and that is that the winner does not take all. It's not enough to win in Ranked. If you are in the bottom 5 players of your team of 15, then you don't get any rewards, no chevron gains. You have to finish in the top 10, the top 2/3 of your team to be able to actually gain any progress from the battle. In turn, this is encouraging survival over aggression, which is leading to a very stale meta inside the ranked battles. It's far too risky to try and make an aggressive play that you think is going to have a profound impact and maybe break a stalemate, because if it doesn't work out for you, you're going to be more penalized than the players who didn't take that risk and just sat there and hoped that somebody else tried to make the play to win the battle for the team. It's actually better to finish first place on the losing team than it is to finish in the bottom 5 on the winning team, and that's because the loser, or shall I say the biggest loser, will gain a chevron. On top of this, if you finish in the top 3 of experience of the winning team, you will not gain 1, but you will gain 2 chevrons, effectively double the progress of everybody underneath you, of the team that hopefully worked together to be able to win the battle. And so this means that winning is not enough, and winning is not equal inside the game mode. When you spawn into the battle, you're not there probably trying to make plans with all of your friends. It's more about you trying to make the plans in your head about how you are going to not just win, but you're going to win better than all of your allies to make sure that you either don't finish in the bottom 5 of experience and don't get any rewards, but hopefully you're going to finish in the top 3 and you're going to get twice as many rewards as the rest of your teammates managed to get. Now, while I understand that Wargaming probably want the best players on the team to be able to accelerate up the ladder quickly so they don't stay stuck and keep crushing the games and slowly but surely progressing up the ladder. They want to get those players up towards the top where they deserve to be to play against the other players. That's fine, and most other competitive multiplayer games have an ELO system where they reward a player who performs exceptionally well with more ELO. The problem is, in World of Tanks, is it's not about ELO system. It's not about where you end up. It's actually about how you get there. Your position on the leaderboard, and in fact the amount of rewards you're going to get for your position, is completely based on your performance, that Wargaming call it. And your performance is measured about the amount of chevrons that you got inside each of your battles. In fact, to be able to finish inside the gold league of this season of Ranked, you had to get 101% chevron gain, with the number 1 player managing to get 211.43% chevrons in all of their games. This in turn is promoting toxic competition between players of the same team to try and get the most, rather than just try and win together as their team, and then eventually, when all the best players have reached the end, that they will continue to fight it out to be able to increase their performance. Next, you might question, how has somebody managed to get over 200% chevron gain, even though if you finish in the top 3 of every single game, you're only going to get 2 chevrons? Well, this is where bonus battles come into play, which is one of the most ridiculous systems in any ranked battles game mode that I've ever heard of. Bonus battles are rewarded to players who manage to progress through the different divisions quickly. And so immediately you're rewarding the best players players with more bonus battles, so they're going to be further on top, maybe because they had a really good streak of games early on. But that's beside the point. Bonus battles can only be used once per day in every single one of your tanks. And so immediately, there's a huge issue for players out there who don't have multiple tier 10 vehicles. Bonus battles are used once per day in one of your tanks, and they will double your chevron gain inside that battle. And so if you gained 1 chevron, instead you'll gain 2. If you gain 2 chevrons, instead you'll gain 4. And that's really where you're starting to make the progress, and why you'll see that some players were able to get over 200% average chevron gains. So there's 2 ways of looking at these bonus battles. What I'm sure Wargaming are trying to do is to encourage players to play a variety of tanks and not just grind the same tank again and again and again. But really, what players are doing instead is they're just playing every single day, and they're playing their overpowered tanks. Maybe they've got 4 or 5 of them, and then they're not going to be playing anymore. It is incredibly frustrating for me that Wargaming are effectively telling you how much you can play a tank each day. And if you ignore this, then you're going to never really get more than 100% chevron gain. You're not going to be finishing gold unless you make use of your bonus battles. The next huge problem with this system is that the amount of bonus battles that you have are limited. And so at the end, when you get through all of the divisions and you're starting to play against the best players, when your bonus battles run out, if you continue to play, you're literally just going to be making your position worse on the leaderboard. Can you believe that there's a ranked game mode that once you've managed to finish, you've got through all the divisions, once your bonus battles have run out, you have to stop playing, otherwise you're going to push yourself worse and worse and worse down the system. It boggles my mind that ranked battles doesn't encourage players to play at the end, to try and fight, to climb up the leaderboard. Instead, it discourages all the competition at the end. The system effectively rewards players who smash their way up through the divisions, and then once they reach the top where they should be playing against like-minded and like-skilled players, you should stop, especially after your bonus battles finish. Otherwise, you're literally putting yourself at a disadvantage, and to all intents and purposes, you might drop divisions. And that's exactly what happened to me last season. Next, this bonus battle system and the fact that it's limited to 1 game per day encourages you to own multiple overpowered vehicles and play them once a day, every single day till you get your win, or you get your loss but you finish number 1. So next you might be saying, well, how do you know that players are just playing overpowered vehicles inside the ranked battles game mode, and what are they? So I went and did the hard work, and I managed to offload manually all of the statistics of all of the players who finished in the top 30 in the last season of Ranked. I recorded which reward vehicles they had, whether they played them inside the Ranked Battles game mode, and specifically what types of tanks they were playing, to see if it's not just the vehicle that you play, but also the type of tank that you played. So firstly, I want to clarify that within the top 30 players, there are 2 accounts which really seem very bizarre, and I'm going to show you about them in a second. Consequently, I've omitted these from the results. So, ladies and gentlemen, I give you the percentage of players from the top 30 of last season of Ranked that played either the Donkerer, the Object 279E, the Object 907, or the Object 260 inside the Ranked Battles game mode. Now let me clarify why I've picked all of these vehicles. I know there are a lot of Clan Wars tanks, I just wanted to focus on these 4. The 2 final rewards from each of the personal missions, and 2 of arguably the most meta Clan Wars tanks ever. And ladies and gentlemen, I was frankly shocked by the statistics, and that is that over 92% of players who finished in the top 30 of the last season of Ranked played the Donkerer inside the Ranked Battles game mode. Now I mean the FV4201 Chieftain or whatever it is. I call it the Donkerer because it's like it's a conqueror that even a donkey could play. I'm not saying that everybody who plays these tanks are idiots. I'm just saying that they seem to be so meta and so straightforward to play that they are clearly broken, and it's no wonder that nearly 93% of players have used them inside the Ranked Battles game mode who are in the top 30. Over 50% of these players also have played the Object 279E, 96% of players have played the Object 907, and 92% have played the Object 260. And these are not just do they have the tanks, these are have they played them inside the Ranked Battles game mode. Now, what's also really interesting about these statistics is this is not just have they played one of these tanks. These are all individual, so that means that over 92% of players have played the Donkerer, the 907, and the 260 inside the Ranked Battles game mode. And remember, because of the bonus chevron games, if you have all 4 of these tanks, you can go in and play them once a day to be able to get your bonus battle, to be able to come out with 200% or 400% from a victory if you finish in the top 10. And of course, when you play vehicles like these, you're definitely going to finish in the top 10, right? So ranked battles, in my opinion, should be a place where solo players can go to truly test themselves. Quite a few players either work in the evenings or they're just antisocial and they don't want to participate inside the clan campaigns. And while I'm not knocking them, I think that some of the clan campaigns are absolutely fantastic. I really feel that the ranked battles game mode should be irrelevant of have you participated in clan wars? Have you managed to get the clan wars reward tanks? And as of now, the only way to be able to get the Donkerer or the Object 907 is to do exactly that. And so, if you're a lone wolf player out there and you want to see how you can perform inside the ranked battles game mode, you're immediately at a huge disadvantage that over 92% of players have played these inside the ranked battles game mode that finished in the top 30 last season. Now, while you could argue that getting the Object 279E and the Object 260 is a single player endeavor and it's possible for everyone, I just think that these vehicles are so unobtainable by the majority of the player base that it's just not really a fair opportunity to allow them inside the ranked battles game mode. And so Wargaming, I would strongly critique you for your allowance of players to use reward vehicles inside the ranked battles of World of Tanks. Clearly these figures show that if you want to be the most competitive, and this is a competitive game mode, that it's not just about how good you are, it's about what tanks you have to be good in them. Next, I also use these statistics to break down the different classes that all of these players played inside the last season of Ranked. And I'm sure none of you will be surprised that over 2/3 of every game that these top 30 players played were in heavy tanks. And when they weren't playing heavy tanks, over a quarter of the time they were playing medium tanks. In fact, it was 3.72% of their games were played in lights, 1.54% were played in tank destroyers, and less than a third were played in self-propelled guns. Clearly, something is wrong with the balance of the vehicles, or at least the meta of the vehicles on the maps that Wargaming have chosen, or more importantly, the experience coefficients that Wargaming have assigned to all of the different vehicles when 95% of the games that the top 30 players played were in either a medium tank or a heavy tank. Clearly, ladies and gentlemen, something is wrong here. Ranked battles should be the competitive endgame game mode that World of Tanks desperately needs. And by Wargaming allowing vehicles that frankly 99% of the player base will never be able to achieve to compete directly with is ruining the whole point of the system. So next I want to go on to my next point, and that is that, I'm sorry, but ladies and gentlemen, some players are clearly sharing accounts or using account boosting services. Now, I was waiting for a while to make this claim because Wargaming have actually removed players from the leaderboard in the past for either being account sharing or using cheats inside the game. However, considering that all of the rewards have now been distributed, these players are still on the list, I'm going to have to show you exactly what I'm talking about. So firstly, YouTube and World of Tanks community, I want to clarify, I really do not want this to be a witch hunt. Well, I'm going to try and do my best to be able to hide the player's name. If you go around digging, you're going to be able to find it out. But I feel the need to be able to highlight it because you're in direct competition with everybody else inside this ranked game mode. And if this player has managed to slip through Wargaming's radar, then clearly improvements need to be made to their system. So firstly, let me present to you this player's tier 10 statistics, because obviously inside the ranked battles game mode, you can only play tier 10. We can see that they average 30 or 40% victories inside their tier 10 vehicles. And in fact, it looks like they've recently made a purchase of the 121B, likely with all of the bonds they managed to get from the ranked battles game mode. And they are in the bottom 0% of players with regards to average damage dealt being 1,000. But obviously that's a very tricky tank to be able to play. Let's take a look at their Super Conqueror, for example. Their Super Conqueror, they average 969 damage per game in the 115 games they've played inside the random queue. Okay, so now let's take a look at their ranked statistics. Oh, okay, so this player has never played ranked before. They've only played ranked in this season. And for some reason, their damage has gone from being less than 1,000 inside the random queue to now being up over 3,500 inside the ranked battles, which, as everybody will know, is actually a lot harder to be able to achieve decent damage numbers in. And so, ladies and gents, there's only really three ways that I can think of to explain this. Number one, the player had an overnight click, and for some reason they woke up and they had the best rounds of World of Tanks of their life for that single ranked day that they played. But then for some reason afterwards, it looks like they've purchased their 121B and they've given up caring because they're no longer playing ranked and they don't mind. They're playing the random queue and they can go back to doing their 1000 damage a game in their tier 10 tanks. More likely, what I think has happened is they've allowed their friend to be able to log in. And let me tell you, this is a very impressive friend. This friend knows how to play World of Tanks. And their friend has played the ranked battle season for them. Now, let me tell you, this is a very good friend, not just from their skill at being able to play World of Tanks, but also from the sheer amount of time that they would have invested. To be able to play this number of games inside the Ranked Battles game mode, it's probably going to take about 10 to 12 hours. That's a pretty good friend, right? Maybe I could ask Phil to go play Ranked for me, right? Phil, you'll be totally up for just playing 12 hours of Ranked on my account, right? Now, while that would definitely be a possibility, I believe that's against Wargaming's terms of service, but maybe some of you will correct me if I'm wrong, or even highlight me if I'm right in the comments down below. But ladies and gents, what I fear, actually, more than that, is that this player has most likely paid somebody to be able to play the Ranked Battles game mode for them. There has probably been some kind of monetary transaction here where somebody has logged in on their account, smashed out a top rank inside the Ranked Battles game mode, and then the player has gone and used the bonds that they achieved to be able to purchase what was previously a Clan Wars reward vehicle in the form of the 121B. Now, while undeniably, I can't be 100% sure that this is the case. I'm sure that Wargaming have systems in place that could very easily flag up things like this and get players like this out of the leaderboard. My main problem with this is that if you participate in the Ranked Battles game mode, are competing with accounts like this for a finite number of places of limited rewards. Only the top 1,059 players managed to finish in gold in the previous season of Ranked. And I feel really sorry for everybody who was really close to the boundary, like Biggie here. And that's because I know for a fact that if Biggie here didn't have the player in question most likely give their account to their friend or pay somebody to play that season of Ranked for them, would have managed to finish gold instead of finishing silver, because you're in direct competition with everybody else on the leaderboard to be able to push yourself up to be able to get the rewards. Now, am I suggesting that this is a huge problem? Not a huge problem, but it's definitely significant. And that is because I didn't have to look very far to find examples of this. In fact, there are 2 players in the top 30 alone that I strongly believe have either shared their account or purchased account boosting services. And while this is a very small sample size, the fact that over 5% of players in the top 30, in my opinion, have cheated to be able to get there, leads me to believe that Wargaming need to make serious improvements to their account flagging procedure. And so, to conclude, Ranked Battles inside World of Tanks. I think it's one of the worst competitive systems I've seen in any multiplayer game. There are so many issues with it that I really feel like the entire system needs to be completely overhauled. And while I perfectly understand that it's probably far too late to be able to do a complete overhaul on the system, and Wargaming have probably invested quite a lot of time and money into this that they wouldn't be willing to do so, there are still a lot of easy things that they could change in the system to be able to make it not just more fun, but definitely more fair for the player who wants an end game of World of Tanks and wants to be competitive without, frankly, just having to play the system and play overpowered meta tanks. So, whoa, that was a big one, ladies and gents. Hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, give the video a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with everything I say inside this video. I'd really like to have a good old discussion in the comments down below, because I just want to have a Ranked Battles game mode inside that is fair and fun. What changes would you like to see to the system? And Wargaming, as always, this is an open invitation to discourse on the matter. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.